Welcome to the Power Within podcast with Raquel, a masterclass in mastery of self. Simply put, this is where you get your life. Hey there, this is your girl Raquel of the Power Within and inpoweryou.com. How you choosing today? So much has been going on, and I don't know if you realize, but generally I tape in advance the show, and tonight I'm taping for tomorrow. So it's the 22nd of March 2020, and this will release on March the 23rd, 2020. And then we'll go back to a few more recorded ones, and then they'll all become very fresh to address what we are in now, which is being called a pandemic, the coronavirus. And the thing I want you to know off the bat is that we've been here before. Many people are acting like this is something new. My favorite book says there is nothing new under the sun, nothing. But I'm going to tell you something. This situation has some different implications that I don't think we have the capability of understanding right now because it's so fresh. Things are changing. The world has been changed. The way we do things is not going to be the same. The idea of social distancing is going to forever change the landscape and the trajectory of how we do everyday life. So here on The Power Within, we talk about conquering everyday obstacles. Why? Because we talk to women who are everyday conquering everyday obstacles. And as a result of this crisis, so many things have happened for me personally. And I just wanted to share a little bit of that with you. As I look at this past week, it was almost like on Thursday of last week, we began to hear more, and I think people began to pay a little bit more attention. But by Monday, this thing had really changed. And so I am the CEO of two companies, so I am familiar with working from home. But by Monday, everybody was being told that they needed to stay home and that they needed to work from home. And so I decided that I needed to answer the Reveille call. And when you're a leader, that happens. You think you have enough on your plate, but then something else comes that requires your attention. A call for people who need help, and you feel compelled to answer. And so as a result, I've been on the Power Within every day, sharing hope for this generation, that we have been here before and that we will get through this. I am working from home every single day now. I've had to transition all of my clients who were used to coming in the office to online sessions. Some of them like it, some of them don't. But I think that their mind has shifted to acceptance because they would rather have that session than not. Insurance has decided that for some of the big boys, they don't want to pay for it. So that has been a challenge. But overall, in my business, there have been many challenges just in 7 days. And I've even spoken to someone today who told me that in 3 days, they lost 95% of their business. And so anytime that you think your situation is bad, there's always someone whose situation is worse. But right now, today, what we need is leadership. And that's what the Power Within is about, leadership and mindset. And you have to change your perspective because somebody absolutely needs you to change. The great thing about today is that even after all of the energy that has been directed into this shift and staying not just afloat, not just surviving, but staying in a mode of thriving, I've had to connect to my mentors. And today I was able to connect to my mentor, Papa John Maxwell, Paul Martinelli, Chris Robinson, and Mark Cole. And they just continue to inspire me. They are a part of the John Maxwell team, and they have truly, just by leading an example, shown leadership. And today we got so many nuggets. John went on live and shared with people all over the world, and it was more than 12,000 people streaming live today at 12 o'clock. And then they took us into some private sessions, and they were really, really good. I'm so thankful for that, because if you are going to succeed and then move from succeeding to significance, you're going to do so because you're with people who can help you do that, because of people who believe in you, because of people who provide you with the tools to help you get there. Why? Because they've been there. They've had their pain points and they've overcome in them. And so I just want to share with you today the process that I went through. I really just went through a process of reflecting. And I want you, if you want to hear me talk a little bit more about that, to make sure that you go back to the Power Within podcast and listen to the episodes that we did on reflection, starting with episode 33, I believe it is, February 10th, reflection, reveal, replace, and ignite. So reveal, replace, and ignite. And we did a series, so go back and listen to that. But I did that. See, you can't give what you don't have. So if I'm telling you to do something that I haven't done before, then I'm out of order, right? So I was able to go back and do this practice because it's a part of my lifestyle. It's not just something I talk about, it's something that I live. And the only thing I can teach is what I have truly lived. And so I went back today and I sat down. John Maxwell calls it a place for pausing. I sat down and I reflected. I paused to reflect. And he tells us that there's a power in intentionally pausing. And if you want to tap into that power, all it really requires is for you to sit still. He says, if you're nearly as old as I am, you may remember an old slogan once used by Coca-Cola. They called Coke the pause that refreshes. That's what reflection is to someone who desires to grow. Learning to pause allows growth to catch up with you. That's the law of reflection. And what I love about that is, we teach masterminds on this information. It's invaluable. The 15 laws of growth. And I remember one day just sitting in my car before a mastermind, intentionally pausing. And one of the greatest ideas that I've had in my business came to me. So you want to intentionally pause, especially during a time like this, so that you can gain insight, so that you can gain the clarity that you need, so that you can gain direction. And so I was able to do that today. And part of what I went through was just to sit down and write down everything that has happened this week. Now, every day I've been writing down the changes, especially the impact to my business, the negative and the positive, the ideas that have come to me, everything. But I sat down today and I wrote down all of the personal things that have happened this week, because this week for me will be a week that I really won't ever forget. I don't want to forget it, because when we go back and look at the past, that is how we can project for the future, because we learn from our past if we are intentional about it. Then I sat down and I thought about work. The thing that God really wants us to do is work. I thought about the work that I do and how it's been impacted by this in both businesses. And I wrote that out, and I wrote and I wrote and I wrote. And it was very lethargic to sit and go into that process. Then I thought about the lessons and the takeaways this week. And it's so funny because I did this before my sessions with my mentors. that just goes to show the power of coaching, because if you are intentional in preparing to be coached, then you can impact the time that you are being coached. You can impact it exponentially because you are simply being intentional. And so then I sat and I thought about how mental health is being impacted. It was one of this week's takeaways for me. And again, people talk as if we're in a new place, but we've been here already. And so many people don't have access to health care. And so many more people who actually have insurance now will not have access to health care because the systems, the organizations were not ready. They didn't have a plan B, C, and D. They're scrambling, trying to figure out protocol. Does this person get telehealth services? And so our lives are changed. But the biggest takeaway that I've learned is that as unsure as people are about what is happening now, there is a level of clarity that comes out of uncertainty. We can actually take confidence in that because you don't have to know what's next to be confident that there is a next. There is a next level for you. And despite what's going on with the economy, as long as you keep your mind set, you can excel in this crisis. You really can. I also thought about what's been affected, how I work has been affected, how I shop has been affected. The way I exercise, I'm cooking a whole lot more. I have my elderly mother that lives with me who hasn't been able to go and do her normal routine. We're actually literally in a new normal. There's talks about the stock market and how it's crashing and people's 401ks and being very concerned about that. And quite honestly, there's just a fear and a panic among the land. But you can thwart all of that if you just stay tuned in, dialed in to something that will continue to uplift you. You're worried about price gouging. You're worried about gas going down in the war with Russia and gas prices. You're worried about your favorite celebrity. You're worried about things that you literally cannot control. And you know, it gets really interesting when you can't even see your own family because of the stay-at-home orders. But there are ways around all of this. But you got to keep the faith. I also thought about the handouts that people are looking for and how many of us are going to just sit and wait for someone to do something for us, or how many of us are going to get up and be the leaders that we've been called to be. Because in crisis, leadership is required to lead and guide us, to give us hope, and to inspire us. And that's what gets me excited. Hope. I have hope that together, that collectively, we will prevail. You know why? Because hope requires a collective and an active process. I need you and you need me. And if you don't understand it, I think by the time we get done with this crisis, you will. You will understand how to literally humble yourself and ask for help or be the help. I want to be the help. I truly want to be the help. And that's what leaders want to do. So I want you to take value, to take stock in reflection, in the power of pausing, in the ability to sit back and to gain insight because you intentionally paused. You see, pausing with intention, John says, expands and enriches thinking. That day I was sitting in my car when I decided to intentionally pause, and that great idea came to me. John says, study the lives of great people who have made an impact on the world, and you will find that in virtually every case, they spent a considerable amount of time alone thinking. Every significant religious leader in history spent time in solitude. Every political leader who had an impact on history practiced the discipline of solitude to think and plan. Great artists spend countless hours in their studios or with their instruments, not just doing, but exploring their ideas and experiences. Most leading universities give their faculty time not only to teach, but to think, research, and write. Time alone allows people to sort through their experiences, put into perspective, and plan for the future. If you are a leader, you can probably take the normal busyness of life and multiply it by 10. Leaders are so action-oriented and have so many responsibilities that they are often guilty of moving all the time and neglecting to stop and take time to think. Yet this is one of the most important things leaders can do. A minute of thought is worth more than an hour of talk. So if you are doing more than you are pausing, consider changing that, because right now you actually have more time than you've ever had. Take that time to pause, to reflect, to gain clarity. And if you need support, call a clarity coach. Call a coach. And every time you need a coach, you don't always need a coach that's actually in your field. Think right now, the demand is for clarity. And that is a process that you can go through with a clarity coach. If I can help you in any way, I'm here. I want to help you. And if you want more information, go to inpoweryou.com. I want to be a voice of reason, of clarity, and of hope in this time. We will prevail. We will prevail. Stay around people who help you to catch a hold to that vision, to be able to write that down for yourself and believe it and be able to walk in it. There are going to be people who are going to excel during this time, and there are going to be people who are not. That's inevitable. Where are you going to be? I know where I'm going, and it doesn't matter what it looks like. It doesn't matter. My faith says that I shall prevail. As I reflect intentionally, I will reveal, I will replace, and I will reignite. This has been your favorite therapist, coach, and sister friend, Raquel, here to support you. Remember, the power within you is undeniable. Blessings from your favorite therapist, coach, and sister friend, Raquel. You've been listening to the Power Within podcast with Raquel Reed. For more information on all things Raquel, go to inpoweryou.com. And before you go, don't forget to comment, follow, and share this episode with someone you love.